Hello everybody and welcome to the midweek market update from Smack the Markets for the 15th of July. So far this week we've seen quite an increase in market levels, certainly in the stock markets. The latest has been on the hope of new vaccine development, this time by a company called Moderna. They are now introducing new vaccine trials, and there's quite a bit of hope around the success of those. Also, the Chinese tensions, or the tensions with China, with various different locations around the world, has also increased. The UK's, of course, restricted the Huawei 5G participation, and also now the US has signed a executive order removing Hong Kong's special status. So let's take a look at how the markets have fared that we discussed on Monday, and some of the opportunities that we're looking at going into the second half of the week. So if we take a look at the Dow here, first of all, come back to the 4-hour time frame and Monday, where the market was back into the sort of 26,000 level here. The question really was, is the market going to sort of find support here? Are we going to see a continuation run higher, or was the 26 level here going to fail and we're going to see a sell-off? Now, we can see exactly what sort of happened. The 26,000 level, big decision point here. The market sort of eventually managed to find a bit of support here, so it had its work cut out to find that. But once it did, and it got above that 26,200 price point, which was the level we discussed on Monday, the bulls came back in, and we've seen that big move and run to the high side. Now, the price action moved it back up towards 26,500, back up to this sort of price point, until that sort of latest news out on that vaccine trial overnight, which pushed the market above the 26,600 level and breaking it into this sort of new trading window to the long side. So going forward here, what could we expect with the Dow and these equity markets? Well, they're quite extended from where they are at the moment. So for me, what I'll be looking for here is opportunities if these markets sort of came back into some of these levels. So pull back into 26,600. We've clearly got support there. That's been a resistance level in the past. If we look at 26,500, that level has also been tested here a good 3 times in the last 3 times it's tested it, and that would also close the gap as well. So I'm keeping a close eye on these areas here. If the market sort of pulls back into these and we sort of find a bit of support, that could be an area for where the market starts to turn and starts to move higher. Now, of course, from an overall perspective here, you know, the market could come all the way back into 26,300 and still be, well, back further than that before we even start to get back into the moving average zone here. So just sort of bear that in mind. The markets are quite extended, but they are running on sort of euphoria at the moment, and sort of vaccine euphoria, that's for sure. So the way that we play these at the moment is very much intraday price action, and trade them during the cash market hours. Now, if we take a look at gold, which we discussed on Monday, we were looking for gold higher. We liked gold to the long side. The challenge really has been trading price action on this market. It's been sort of very choppy. Silver and copper has actually been a sort of lot easier, and we had some nice trades on copper yesterday. On gold here, it's been very sort of sideways, and we're just sort of getting to the top end of this range now. So getting a breakout above these sort of area up here, I think around sort of 1820, that could sort of set this up for a bit more of a move to the long side. Now, just note that this market overall, from a macro perspective, is not really extended on any of these higher time frames. So again, a bit of a leg higher could be on the cards for this market, providing we sort of break out of some of these ranges. So that 1820 area is certainly the area that I'm looking at for that. Now, if we take a look at cable, on Monday we were saying that cable really is in a decision point area. So the market had pulled back into this 126 level. You can see this here on the sort of daily time frame. The level's been quite a strong price point for quite some time, and we were looking here to see where the market was going to find support here, and we're going to get a move up to 128, or whether it was going to break. Now, we had conflicting sort of stories on this market across 2 time frames. If we come to the 4-hour time frame here, you can see that the market had put in a triple top here around 26,660, and just sort of bracketing this sort of 26,000 level, or 126,000 I should say. So what we saw was a break of trend here on the 4-hour, but now the daily time frame is still intact. So the market's now pulled back to 126. I think here, if we get a move above 126, we've got that trading window up there towards the old highs, and that's certainly something that we're sort of looking at here. If we come up to the daily time frame, you can see that that sort of move still makes sort of perfect sense here on the trend structure on the daily, and we could then still be within the context of this move up towards the 128 on the higher time frames. So still liking this from the higher time frame perspective, and keeping an eye on these lower time frames, particularly that 126 level. Now, new opportunities going into the second half of the week. We could be looking at some of these other dollar related markets. So Aussie dollar, for example, is one that is looking sort of quite nice, particularly around the sort of 70 level here. If we take a look at this on the weekly chart, you can see that the sort of long trend has now sort of moved up to this sort of 70 level. You can see that right the way through here, there has been very strong support and resistance on this market, and markets sort of now pressing up against it. It doesn't look like there's any sort of sign of weakness coming in, but we need to be prepared for that, of course. Now, if we come down to the daily time frame, you can see that this 70 level has been tested a number of times over the past couple of weeks. So again, this market has hit this level, it's sort of pulled back, it's retested again, pulled back, put in a higher low, and it's retested again. So this is just sort of price action that is showing evidence of being persistent, and actually sort of gaining greater strength in order to break through. So I quite like this level here. I like the market higher, and I think we could be getting a breakout of this sort of 70 price point. Now, if we get a breakout here, if we come down to the 4-hour time frame, one thing that I would be expecting here is some kind of sort of breakout and pull back to it, because even on the sort of 4-hour time frame, the move up to the sort of 70 price point has already had quite a good move up here. I'd be wanting to see some sort of consolidation around here before sort of looking for some swing plays to the long side. So intraday, I'll certainly be happy to play this on breaks to the long side, but on the swing opportunities, maybe waiting for some sort of retracement back to retest this area. But longer term, this market looks quite nice to the long side, and particularly if we get continued weakness in the US dollar, that Aussie has been quite strong for some time. Hope it helps. So there's a few opportunities there. Certainly look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.